The question was, who do I use? Who do I use for a credit repair company, national or local? I use most of the time I use a national credit repair company. I'll go ahead and give them out. It's qualitycreditllc.com. qualitycreditllc.com. And they have mortgage brokers that understand the lease option process and understand what we're doing. They also have an escrow company if you wanted to use them to have the tenant buyer make the check out to them. Okay? But I still recommend finding somebody local if you can. Okay? Many of you guys come to the RIA groups with Michael here, and there's probably mortgage brokers that come. Find out those mortgage brokers that are investor friendly, that understand creative real estate, understand lease options, and just ask them, hey, who do you use for credit repair? Who do you recommend for credit repair? Okay, there's probably several organizations, either here or the ones, maybe there's some in Denver, that do credit repair and do a good job. The thing I like about having somebody local is you can go sit on their desk and say, hey, how's it going with this guy, with this guy, with this guy? Give me an update. Are they calling you? Are they doing what you ask them to do, etc.? Yes?
I'm not trying to be challenging in any way here, but I've tried doing different things on the phone. I have a background as a mortgage broker, and in all due respect to the realtors in the room, I've quickly bumped up against opposition at times in my life where realtors will say, oh, you're acting as a realtor and you're not licensed. I mean, I guess I'm challenging this whole concept a little bit. And
that's why the question was, can you do this without a license?
Exactly.
Right, and you get some. Are you a licensed agent yourself?
Not anymore.
Okay. I know why. It's funny. I've talked to so many realtors that wish they didn't have their license. But here's my take on that. Every state is different. Every state has different requirements. I know in Colorado there's something in there that says you can't deal in options without a license. That's why I've always recommended, I did this Wednesday night, I did this today already, either get your license or partner with a realtor who is licensed to do these deals for you, to market these deals for you. So I believe you can get over that objection. I believe you can work through that by either getting your license or hiring a realtor to advertise and market the homes for you.
Would you involve the realtor in the entire process?
The realtor's working for me. Okay? So the realtor does whatever I tell them to do. I have that property under contract. I'm a tenant buyer with the right to sublease that out. Okay? The issue becomes in who's going to advertise and market the home. Well, that's why I hire a realtor to advertise and market the home for me. Okay? Michael, did you have?
I was just going to comment that before my wife quit to help me, I hired a real estate agent to do that side of the business for me. And it was not, one Craigslist ad.
Yeah, then I'm going to talk about that. Michael Jake is saying, for those of you on the video, that he, when his wife quit, was she a realtor?
No.
Well, she quit her job to work with you. And your wife's awesome, by the way. Michael's saying he hired a realtor to do that marketing of the house. Here's the point. You need to outsource that stuff anyway. You don't want to be driving around town, taking calls, showing homes and stuff. Why not outsource it to a realtor? And in my opinion, I've talked to lots of attorneys about this, that will take care of that issue of brokering without a license. But if you still have a problem with it, if you still don't feel comfortable with it, go ahead and get your license. How much does it cost here in Colorado to get your license? $700 bucks, $800 bucks? Too much? Yeah. So here's the thing. If you get your license, and I'll talk about how to find a realtor, by the way. If you get your license, you want to find a good investor-friendly realtor to work with. I know Keller Williams is a great investor-friendly broker for the most part. I mean, the Millionaire Real Estate book that they have, that's their Bible, they have featured in there. Were you in there, Michael? No, okay. Okay. Well, no, they feature in that book unlicensed investors flipping deals.
That's the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book.
Yes, the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book. They feature guys in there that are doing lease options, that are buying houses subject to, doing crazy creative stuff. okay? And Mr. Keller, whoever it is, has asked, Gary Keller, has asked Wendy Patton to write a book on buying houses subject to and put it under the Keller Williams label, okay? She's refused to do that because if done wrongly, there's a lot more potential to get investors in trouble. But so if you want to get your own license, find an investor-friendly broker. But sometimes when you go to a broker, you need to ask them, look, do you have any problems with me doing deals on my own? Number one. You want to find out. Some brokers are going to tell you, no, you have to do every deal through the brokerage, okay? Well, you probably don't want to work with them. All right, you want to find a good broker. I know in St. Louis, the Keller Williams office, well, it's kind of, I don't know if I should say this on recording, but it's kind of like,
Pause the tape.
it's all right, I'll say it anyway. It's kind of like, it's one of those don't ask, don't tell things. Just stay out of trouble, okay, and it'll be fine. But really, the broker can't require you to do your own deals under the brokerage, right? But let's say you can, well, so look for a realtor that will a broker that will let you do these deals on your own. You still may have to pay them $500 for every deal that you do or something like that. Or there's brokers out there that will let you keep 100% of your commission. You just pay them a higher monthly fee. The other thing is, you can do, if you want to get your license, you can do these deals the traditional way with the traditional listing agreements, the traditional lease, the traditional sales contract, and you just put in the listing agreement that you get 3% commission up front when you find the tenant buyer. Does that make sense? So I believe that dealing these deals without a license is an easy objection to overcome by either getting your license or partnering with somebody who is licensed. Does that make sense? Let's move on. All right, we talked about this before, except on my Wednesday night I talked about the 3 keys to success. I modified this to talk about the 4 keys to success in this business. Number 1, we understand marketing. Marketing is the most important part of this business. Okay? Number 2 is automations. You got to get systems. You got to get systems in place where your business is automated now. I found out early on that if I don't get somebody else to do the marketing for me, it just won't get done. I was working a full-time job, completely stressed out, all these things were going on, and I said, I've got to get somebody else to do this for me. I would try to schedule every Wednesday morning, every Friday morning to do my marketing, but I just got busy, life got in the way, my job got in the way, and I just couldn't do it. So I started writing down everything that I do, and I started giving it to virtual assistants to do for me. Okay? And it's really easy to do that, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. With technology today, it's just stunning what you can do today that you couldn't do 3-5 years ago. Okay? It's amazing. So I've developed systems that I can just take to my virtual assistant and have them do for me. And if that VA quits or I let her go, I can just take this document and give it to the next VA. Right? I already have the training done. I already have in the videos what I want them to do every day. So I've developed systems that can be automated. Right? It's really important that you treat this like a business. Investing isn't a hobby, it's a business. And the most important principle in business, no matter what kind of business it is marketing. I'm reading a great book right now called Ready, Fire, Aim. So many of us get into this mentality of, I've got to get everything figured out first. I've got to get all my ducks in a row. I've got to get my business cards, my website, my LLC set up, and my attorneys to review all the contracts. I've got to get all this stuff set up before I do any marketing. That's wrong. Okay? You need to take the attitude of, I'm going to just take one step at a time, and I'm not going to worry about steps 7 and 8 until I start doing steps 1 and 2. Okay? You may make mistakes, but that's okay. Okay? So start with marketing. Get the marketing out the door. Okay? Start building your systems. Copy mine. All right? You can take what I'll show you later, you can take the documents that I've created for my VAs, and you can just take it and copy it and make it your own and send it to your VAs. okay? Or you can use my VAs. So, automation, and then number 2, delegation. All right, you've got these systems in place. Now you need to delegate them out to somebody else. Okay, real simple. Marketing, automation, and delegation. When I discovered that, that was my breakthrough. I realized, okay, if I don't get the marketing done, it's not going to get done, so I need to get somebody to do it for me in spite of me. So I started getting people to do it for me. And, you know, maybe they didn't do it as good as I would have done it, but that's okay. It was getting done. So many of us are in the ready, aim, and we never get to fire. We buy another course. We take another class, you know, and we just never take any action. Well, no wonder you're not making any money yet. So what I decided, what my breakthrough was, is I'm just going to do what they say to do. I'm not going to question it. Okay, I'm just going to do it. I may not like it. I may not make sense. And then I was shocked how it worked. Okay, so sometimes you have to take the ready, you know, get ready and then fire, and then adjust. You see where your shot went, you know, you adjust, you lift it up, and you fire again. So it's every successful investor I know in business, they don't care if it's perfect, they just get it out there, okay? And then they fix it as they go. Does that make sense? So now, the number 4 key to success is learning how to talk to sellers. Because you can get your phone to ring, you can get all these VAs to do marketing for you, but unless you know what to say to sellers when they call, you're really going to struggle. And this kind of relates to marketing, right? But it's all about knowing what to say to sellers. Marketing, automation, delegation, talking to sellers. Now, we're going to talk about breaking down your marketing into goals that you can control. This is really, really important, okay? It's one thing to say, I want to make $100,000 a year. I want to do 3 deals a month. But can you really control those kinds of goals? You know, you've heard the analogy of you need to have SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and timely, or something like that, right? So you need to have goals that you can measure, that are attainable, that are realistic, that you can have deadlines to, that you are specific. Well, many times these goals, if I want to make $100,000 a year, you can't control that. So I'm going to walk through in this spreadsheet here what this means. So you need to know how many sellers you need to talk to every day to meet your goals. You need to know how much marketing you need to do every day to meet your goals. It's like, write these numbers down. I normally have a board or something, I write this down. Let's say you wanted to make $120,000 a year. Now I have a spreadsheet I'll show you in a minute that breaks these numbers down. But I just want to explain it first and then I'll show the spreadsheet. So that's what, $10,000 a month, okay? Let's say you only, it's funny, you're not writing it down because you have a calculator up here in your brain. All right, so let's say your average profit per deal is $5,000, okay? And somebody write down, remind me to talk about promissory notes if we have time, because you may not get $5,000 up front from a seller, from a tenant buyer, but maybe you get $3,000. Well, how can you set up promissory notes to collect the difference over the next 1 or 2 years? That's a great source of cash flow. All right, so your average profit is $5,000, so that means you have to do 2 deals a month, right? Now let's say you only sell half of the houses you get under contract. I'm just being conservative here. That means you have to have 4 houses under contract a month. Okay? See where I'm going? Now let's say you have to talk to 25 sellers to get 1 house under contract. 4 times 25 is you need to talk to 100 sellers a month to get 4 houses under contract, right? So let's say half of your leads are going to come from Craigslist and half are going to come from postcards. So 50 leads are going to come from Craigslist and 50 leads are going to come from postcards, right? So let's say now with Craigslist, your average response rate is 15%. So you're going to take 50 divided by 0.15 is 333 sellers that you need to send marketing to every month in Craigslist. Okay? When I say you need to talk to 100 sellers a month, that's 100 sellers calling you back in response to your marketing. Okay? That's not picking up the phone and doing 100 cold calls. Although that's good, there's a different response rate for that. So we're talking about now sellers calling you back in response to your marketing. So if half of your leads come from Craigslist, that's 50 a month. You divide that by 15%. That means you need to send marketing out to 333 sellers a month in Craigslist. Now, I'm not talking about putting ads in Craigslist, do you want to lease purchase your house? I'm talking about contacting sellers who advertise their house for rent or for sale in Craigslist and asking them if they want to do a lease purchase. Okay? I'm going to show you ways to get your VAs to do all that marketing for you. So, but it looks like it's coming from you. Okay? And that's what I did when I was at the Starbucks the other day. And that's how I got about 70 or 80 seller leads from the marketing that I did while I was here last Wednesday. Okay? So that means you need to contact 333 sellers a month. Let's just divide that by 20 working days in a month. That means every day you need to go in and send out marketing, text message, voice blast, emails, whatever, to 17 sellers every day. Now that's something you can control, right? Right. So now let's look at postcards. If 50%, so you need to get 50 leads a month from postcards, and your average response rate on a postcard is 3%, let's say. You take 50 divided by 0.03, that means you need to send out about 1,700 postcards a month. Okay? And if you divide that by 4, which you should send them out every week, that's about 400 postcards a week that you should send out. You should never rely just on one form of marketing. Okay? You should have multiple things of marketing. Maybe it's yellow letters. The yellow letters, your average response rate is 8 to 10%. So you play with those numbers any way you want. And then with yellow letters, they cost more. That's why, but the response rate is more. So you play around with the numbers, but now you know you have a plan that you can control. You can't control making $120,000 a year, but you can control, all right, I need to go every day and send out 20, I need to go out and send 20 pieces of marketing out to Craigslist ads every day, and every week I need to send 400 postcards every week. Okay? If you do that, then you're going to start getting some leads in. You understand that this business is about marketing. It's about getting leads. Okay? And then the problem becomes, not the problem, but the opportunity becomes, your phone's going to ring. I promise you. Doing that, just keeping it simple, your phone's going to ring. The next opportunity comes in how to talk to sellers once they start calling in. Okay? That's going to take some practice. That's going to take some skill. And it's really something that I am passionate about. So do you understand? Breaking down, you've got to have a marketing plan. You've got to have this in writing. If you want, and it doesn't matter if you're flipping lease options or doing traditional wholesaling or short sales or rehabbing. If you want to make offers on the MLS, you need to have written down, I need to make 10 offers a day on the MLS. Okay. Every time a student comes to me and complaining about not doing enough deals or not making enough money, I ask them this question, how much marketing are you doing? What's your marketing plan? And they don't have an answer, or they're not following it. Okay? This is so important to have this. It doesn't have to be a spreadsheet like I'm going to show you. It can just be on a pad of paper. But you need to look at the law of averages. And if it takes 25 sellers to talk to get one deal under contract, if you're trying to get listings as a realtor, it's the same thing. I got to call 50 FSBOs to get one under contract. So if you want to get 3 under contract, you need to call 150 every month, right? So you may do better, you may do worse, but that's just the average. And your numbers will change if your profit is smaller or bigger. And remember, I went back and I said you only sell half of the houses you get under contract. So maybe that is too conservative. You can adjust that around. So you've got to have a plan. You've got to know what your numbers are. I can't stress that enough. You've got to know what your numbers are. And if you do, you have a plan of attack. Either you need to do it or you need to get somebody else to do it for you. And I recommend automating it and get somebody else to do it for you. Okay? It doesn't have to be a Filipino VA. It could be somebody here in Colorado, but you got to get somebody else to do it. So let me see if I can get this spreadsheet up here. I'm going to show you a couple really cool things. Um, okay, this may be a little small for you, but I'm just going to run through these numbers. I want to make this a little bigger here. So I have this spreadsheet, and this is in my course. Let's say your annual income goal is $120,000, so that's $10,000 a month. Let's say your average profit is $4,000, so you need to do 3 deals a month. But let's say you only sell 50% of the homes you get under contract, so you need to get 6 houses under contract a month. And then this number here, you can adjust this. So how many sellers do you need to talk to get one under contract? Me, I need to talk to maybe 15. Okay? But, you know, beginning investors, 20, 25 sellers. That doesn't mean you're guaranteed, you know what I'm saying, every 25th seller you're going to get a deal. It may be it's not till your 50th before you get under contract, but then the next one you get 2 under contract, right? So this is pretty much the average. Remember, you got to dig through sometimes a lot of dirt to get to the gold. Don't get discouraged if you've done a bunch of marketing in the last few days or the last few weeks and you haven't gotten any under contract yet. Just keep on plugging away. There's a famous story of some guy mining out in California who quit. You heard this story, you know? And then a few months later, somebody else comes and takes over where he left off and hits this huge gold mine. How many sellers do you need to talk to? So this calculates, well, okay, I need to talk to 120 sellers. So how many sellers every day is that I need to talk to? This is a number I didn't mention before, but you need to know, well, I need to talk to 5 sellers every day. Okay? And if 5 sellers aren't calling you back on average every day, maybe you need to tweak your marketing or do something else or add a new piece of marketing in. Okay? Remember, business is all about marketing. So maybe if you're not getting 5 sellers calling you back, maybe you just need to pick up the phone and start cold calling sellers in Craigslist. Okay? Now in here I said, you know, what percentage of your leads could come from Craigslist and postcards and yellow letters? Let's just say in this example, 50% of my leads come from Craigslist, 25% come from postcards, and 25% come from yellow letters. Okay? So that means now the number of leads I need from Craigslist every month is 60, the number of leads from postcards is 30, the number of leads from yellow letters is 30. And I have here my average response rate. For Craigslist, it's 15%. For postcards, it's 3%, and yellow letters, it's 8%. Now, who do I send my direct mail to? I send them to absentee owners mainly. That's like 90% of my postcards I send to absentee owners. In homes that are 3+ bedrooms, good zip codes. You know, I put on here where the sale date is over 10 years, the last sale date's over 10 years. I don't actually do that anymore. I send to all of the absentee owners because I don't care if they don't have any equity, right? And I can tell you, one of the best lists you can mail to are absentee owners that bought their houses in the last 1 to 5 years. Why? Because nobody else is mailing to them, okay? Usually most investors are only mailing to absentee owners that have a lot of equity. By the way, when my marketing goes out, it's just a simple "we buy houses" message. I don't explain the whole lease purchase thing. I just say, hey, we buy houses. We're investors. And then when they call me, I ask them, what do you want to sell your house for? And usually it's too much. And so I tell them, well, I can maybe get that for you if you're willing to lease your property for a few years and then sell it. You wouldn't be interested in that, would you? So I go into the lease purchase route. I also like mailing to probates, evictions, and divorces. This is another system that I've outsourced to my virtual assistant. In Missouri, all court cases are public record, and so you can go online and view all the probate courses and the evictions and the divorces. So you need to find out in your county if you can do that, and it's different by county. But if you can't, that's almost a good thing because it means nobody else is getting that list as well. But if you go to the courthouse, I think almost every courthouse in the country has to give their records if people ask for them, right? So you could potentially go to the courthouse and ask them somehow to get a database of their court cases. And you can find the evictions and the divorces and the probates, and you can start mailing to them. Okay? A lot of times landlords are evicting their tenants, they're stressed out, they don't know what to do. People are going through divorce, it's tragic, but they have a house that they need to get rid of and they can't. And you can give them exactly what they need, or what they need. So here we go, back down to here. So the Craigslist postcards, I know now how much I need to send out every month. I need to send out, I took 60 divided by 15%. I need to send out 400 Craigslist marketing things every month. I need to send out 1,000 postcards and 375 yellow letters every month. And if I go over here to costs, I see, well, okay, that means if a postcard, if you go to click to mail, it's about 40 cents. I use a service called Yellow Letter Mail for my yellow letters, yellowlettermail.com, and they're about 97 cents. That includes the list of absentee owners if you're buying that. So I know then, okay, well, 400 divided by 20 working days a month, I need to go and contact 20 ads every day. Okay, and then I know here, these two white areas, I know I need to send 250 postcards every week and 94 yellow letters every week. And that's going to cost me about $800, $824 every month. Now, you think I want to make more than $824 every month if I'm doing that much marketing? Yes. All right. On that kind of a marketing, I'm getting 150 leads on average. I'm getting 120 leads. I'm getting 120 leads from that. So I'm going to make some money. So it's all, you see how important marketing is? You see how important it is having a plan? So now you know, okay, I need to spend, my goal is to spend $824 a month on marketing. That may sound like a lot of money. So maybe you won't get there right away. You slowly build up. Maybe at the first you just focus on Craigslist, okay? And take the profits from your first few deals and reinvest it into marketing, into direct mail. Direct mail is really important. One mistake I see investors make is they just focus on Craigslist, okay? You need to have other sources of marketing available for you, okay? So direct mail is really, really important. Now, I have another spreadsheet here that's kind of fun. This is a spreadsheet I created. It calculates how much profit you could potentially make based on how much money you're spending on marketing. Now, I'm just going to fly through this real fast. This is available in my course, but these results are not typical. They're not guaranteed. I just got to explain that here. But sometimes it's kind of fun to figure out, look, if I'm spending $1,000 a month in marketing, just using the law of averages and average profit, how much profit am I going to make? You'll make more than $3,000.
No, per deal.
Well, yeah, I'll show you how that works here. So I've broken this down to Craigslist marketing and yellow letter marketing and then postcards and some other stuff here. Okay, let me zoom in a little more. All right, so I have $1,000 a month in my marketing budget. Okay, by the way, I know investors right now that are spending $30,000 to $50,000 a month on marketing. That's a lot of money. Do you know how much money they're making?
A lot more than that.
Yeah, they're making over $200,000, $300,000 a month. Okay, so let's say I contact 30 ads a day in Craigslist. My average warm response rate is 10%. I'm being conservative there. So that means every day I'm going to talk to 3 sellers, and I'm going to talk to 15 a week. And I'm using a VA. My average cost for VA is $2 to $3 an hour. They're spending about 2 hours a day on this. So my monthly cost for a virtual assistant is about $120 to do just my Craigslist marketing. Okay, and I'm also sending out voice blasts, which cost me about 3 to 5 cents. And for text messaging, I'm using Google Voice. So there's $42 a month I'm spending on what I call the 1, 2, 3 punch marketing. And here I say, well, because I'm targeting mostly wholesaling lease option deals, but sometimes I'm targeting also traditional wholesaling deals. So in my Craigslist marketing, almost 100% of it's just going to be wholesaling lease options. Okay. Then I go to yellow letters. My letter cost for just the letters, not the names, is 89 cents. I get an average of let's just be conservative here, 8% response rate. So, and I want to send out 500 yellow letters a month. So I'm going to get an average, if my response rate is 8%, I'm going to get an average of 40 leads per month from yellow letters. And let's say half of my deals are wholesaling lease option deals and half of them are traditional wholesaling deals. You understand what I mean by traditional wholesaling deals? Okay. So half of my leads come for wholesaling lease options, half from our traditional wholesaling. Now, I used to use a service called House Buyer Network. Nothing wrong with them. I just stopped them recently. But there are companies out there, websites, where you can go and buy their leads that they're getting. They do a bunch of Google advertising, and you can buy their leads based on county. Okay. I was paying about $650 a month for an average of 30 to 40 leads from House Buyer Network. It just, for me, it wasn't, I couldn't justify the cost. But so if you wanted to spend, just go to Google and search We Buy Houses, and you see all those sponsored results on the top and on the right. Many times if you go to those sites, you can buy leads from them for your county. Okay, so let's just skip that for now. Now here's postcards. I'm going to, postcards cost you about 40 cents on click-to-mail. Your average response rate with postcards is 3%. Based on how much money I have left, the spreadsheet says I can send out 923 postcards a month. Okay, and I'm going to say here 50% are going to be wholesaling lease options and 50% the other. So now it's just going to show me my leads summary. So this is a summary of my leads. Craigslist, I'm getting about 60 leads for wholesaling lease options, 20 leads from yellow letters, 14 leads from postcards. Okay, and then you can see where my leads are coming from, and my average cost per lead is about $5, $5.61. I like spreadsheets. Sometimes it's to a fault because I spend too much time analyzing this stuff and not enough time actually doing it. But I find this spreadsheet is kind of cool. So here's a summary of my contracts now. Okay, if I am getting, I'll scoot this up a little bit more. All right, so I'm getting 94 leads for wholesaling lease option deals a month. It takes me an average of 20 to get one under contract. I'm getting 4.7. Like, obviously you can't. But so let's say I sell half of them. So I'm doing an average of 2.3 houses per month. And if my average profit is $4,000 per deal, I'm making an average gross profit revenue of $9,400 a month. But I'm also doing some traditional wholesaling. And so I'm getting about 34 leads a month. I have to talk to 25 sellers to get one traditional house under contract. So you work out, and I sell maybe 80% of the houses I get under traditional wholesaling contract. And my average profit is $8,000 on a traditional wholesale deal. So I'm making about $8,700 a month, traditional wholesaling. Okay? That means just using my conservative numbers, if I'm spending $1,000 a month on marketing, I'm going to be making gross $216,000 a year. That's a lot of money. The reason I love this spreadsheet is because it shows you the importance of marketing. If I were to go up there and put 0, okay, how much, what would this number be? Now, not exactly, because it doesn't cost anything to pick up the phone, and if you don't have any money to get started in marketing, that's fine. I didn't have any money. All I did was Craigslist, which I'm going to show you how to do. So you'll still make some good money, right? But the numbers get really significant when you realize if you invest in marketing, it's always going to give you a good return. Okay? As long as you learn what to say and what to say to sellers. And then I just go in through, obviously there's some costs, right? And I won't go into this detail, but you have overhead expenses, I have telemarketers that I use. I'm buying my leads from ListSource. And I have a realtor that I'm paying to close my deals. So if you take and you take away 30%, is that what I did here? You obviously have to take away money for taxes and stuff like that. I don't generally take out 30%. But your total profit after your overhead and expenses and getting somebody else to do all the work for you, it's going to be about $140,000 a year. getting somebody else to do all the work for you. Isn't that cool? All right. So here's the, let's say you bump this up to, let's just make this $5,000 a month. Now these results are not typical, they're not guaranteed. I'm not telling you like, if you spend $5,000 a month, you're gonna, so here, you could potentially make $850,000 a year. Okay? Now keep in mind, you're going to get so many leads if you're spending $5,000 a month on marketing, you're going to need to hire more help to help you answer all those calls, right? So you're going to have to adjust the overhead expenses here to hire more help. And you got to think about, I'd love to make $850,000 a year, but do I really want to manage the business that comes with that? Do I want an office? Do I want a staff? Do I want to hire people and worry about all of that stuff? I'm not interested in that, actually, to be honest. So I'm not going to spend $5,000 a month on marketing because I don't want a business that big. I want to be able to take my family to Prague whenever I want, or spend an extra week in Colorado, or go to San Diego and hang out on the ocean. Okay? So for me, I have friends that are making over $1 million a year just wholesaling. Okay? So it can be done. But you need to decide what kind of lifestyle you want to have. All right? Do you like that? Does it help to understand if you want to make $100,000 a year, $120,000 a year, if you want to quit your job, what's that number? If you make $75,000 a year and that's what you need to make to quit your job, what's your plan to get out of that? So it's important to break it down. If you want to flip lease options, you need to know how much marketing you need to send out every month. And I didn't even talk about making offers on MLS properties, okay? But you need to know how many offers do you want to make on MLS properties a week. If you're not making enough money in real estate, it's because you're not doing enough marketing, okay? No more yawning. You're going to make me yawn. Okay. Now, we doing good? Let's talk about what Craigslist marketing that I send out. Yes.
This is a little off topic and maybe you'll address it later. I'm wondering what business structure you suggest when considering the people that you outsource to do the different...
The question is, what business unit, entity do I suggest when I'm outsourcing so much? I don't know. Talk to an attorney. I can't give legal, tax advice, all that stuff, because I'll just get in trouble if I do that. Because I don't. So, if I were. Well, I'm sorry?
Legal Shield.
Yeah, I recommend you take a look at Prepaid Legal or Legal Shield. Get advice on that, maybe. The problem is sometimes you're not going to be. They give you an attorney, and many times that attorney is not going to understand creative real estate. I've had attorneys tell me, it's illegal to buy a house for 50 cents on the dollar and flip it and make $20,000. Like there's some magical number that there's a law somewhere that says you can't get a property at a discount and sell it at a higher price and make $20,000 or something. So you got to make sure you find an investor-friendly, creative real estate attorney. Just a sec. And then also, do you have to have your LLC to do your first deal? My opinion, no. Some would say yes. So just take it for what it's worth. I don't think you have to have your LLC first. Just do it in your own name, okay? As you start going through this, it's a ready, fire, aim approach, right? Just start your marketing. Worry about that stuff later. Now, I say that at the same time, it's like, okay, it is important. I do everything in my LLC. So just do whatever you want. I was going to say something else for that. For my virtual assistants. The great thing about using a website like Odesk that I'm going to be talking about later is I just write it off as a marketing expense. Okay, I pay them through Odesk. I don't have to worry about taking any money out for Social Security and unemployment and all that stuff. I don't have to worry about payroll. It's just a marketing expense. So I hire my VAs from outsource. All right, so let's talk about Craigslist. Craigslist, I send out I call it my 1, 2, 3 punch. I send them text messages, and I send them voice blasts, and I send them email. It's real simple. I send an email to every ad that doesn't have a phone number. Okay, and I'm going to show you real quick what I'm looking for in here. And then if it has a phone number, I'm going to send them a text message, and you might want to call it a voice blast or slide dial. The cool thing about slide dial, it's a service that lets you call the phone number, and if it's a cell phone, and most phone numbers in Craigslist are cell phones, it doesn't ring the phone, it takes you right to their voicemail. Now, cold calling works as long as somebody else does it. I don't like doing cold calling. I'd rather only talk to sellers who raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested. Okay? There's another tool. So slide dial, 75% of the time it'll go right to their voicemail. You just leave them a message. My message is real simple. In my email, my text message, and my voice blast, it's real simple. Hey, I saw your house on Craigslist. I was just wondering if it was available for lease purchase or rent to own. If it is, call me at, and I give them a local phone number. That's what I did at Starbucks last Wednesday down the street. Okay? I got a bunch of numbers off of Craigslist, and I sent them text messages and voice blasts saying, hey, my name is Scott. I told them my name was Scott. And I said, I'm looking to see if your house will be available for lease purchase. If it is, call me back, and thanks. So, and that's the same thing in my text message. My emails that I send out, you got to be a little careful with emails, because if you send too many emails every day, Craigslist, because you know how they anonymize Craigslist, they'll start blocking you, right? So I only tell my VA, only send out about 5 to 10 a day. That's it, okay? But many ads will have phone numbers, and I send them a text message. And if you send them through Google Voice, great thing about Google Voice, it's free. You can get a local number for whatever market you're doing this in. Your VA can log into your Google Voice account and send these text messages for you, okay? And when they can reply to that text message, and it comes to your inbox. It looks like an inbox. So every day you can log into Google Voice, and you see the sellers as they reply to you. And when they reply, you get their phone number. Okay? Don't play this game of texting back and forth. Just call them up. Get them on the phone. Okay? The great thing about having a virtual number, and I use a website called Vumber, V-U-M-B-E-R. Vumber lets you have multiple virtual phone numbers. Google Voice only lets you have one. Vumber lets you have as many as you want. It's like $2 to $5 a month to get extra numbers. Local in whatever market you're doing this in. So if I'm doing my marketing in California, which we are right now, I have a bunch of Vumbers in those different markets. So when my marketing goes out, it looks like it's coming from a local investor there. Okay? So there's a question in the back.
Yeah, you go with Scott, and that's to say, to determine which campaign you're getting a response to, and then I'll ask you for Scott.
No, I just use Scott because I'm giving these leads to whoever invests in the course. So I don't, so when you call these leads back, by the way, those of you who bought the course Wednesday night, you will be getting it today. Okay? Some of you asked about that. I was wanting to get everybody all together because we're gonna offer it today, soon here. So anyway, you may be calling them, and you can just say, "Hey, I'm Scott's buddy. Scott's my business partner." But what I'd say when I'm calling them back, I'd say, "Hey, I got a message from you. Did you have a house on Craigslist?" That's what I started off at, because they're going to say, "Well, what house were you calling about?" Well, I'm sorry, I've been looking at Craigslist all day. I've been looking at a ton of different homes. I don't remember which one was yours. Is it still available? Right, so I just turn around and ask them a question: "Is your house still available?" So I call these people back. I get them on the phone. So slide dial. If you go to slidedial.com, it'll give you the phone number. You dial that phone number. You listen to a little ad. It's free, and then you dial the seller's phone number, and it takes you right to their voicemail if it's a cell phone. Voice blasting, it's a little gray area. There's certain issues with robocalling, okay? But one could argue they're putting their phone number on Craigslist. They want people to call them who are interested in leasing or buying their house. You could also argue that it's a business-to-business transaction. They're in the business of selling your house. I'm in the business of buying houses, okay? Robocalling is perfectly legal if it's business to business. Okay? It's tricky though when you do voice blasting on a mass scale, because you have to give the sellers the option when you're calling and they're listening to a recorded message. You have to give them the option to press 8 to be added to your do not call list, or press 1 to be transferred to a live person or a voicemail, okay? So I don't, because it's a gray area and it differs by state, I don't teach voice blasting as much as I used to, okay? You need to investigate it for yourself and see if it's a good idea. I'm telling you, it works. It works really well because I can send out 30 a day, and I only talk to the people who say, yeah, I might be doing a lease, I might be interested in a lease purchase, and then they call me back. I'm only talking to the ones who raise their hands. Same with text messages, the same with emails. Okay? And to do this stuff, Voice Blast costs about 5 cents a call. Slide Dial is free. How much does it cost to do that? If you pay a VA a couple bucks an hour, and they're spending 2 hours a day doing this, it's $4 a day. Okay? I look for in Craigslist nice homes in nice neighborhoods. Okay? I generally use from criteria homes over 1,000 a month, depending on the market you're in. Maybe if you're in California, if you're targeting California, you want to do homes over 1,500 a month. I do 3+ bedrooms. All right? And so I'm looking for nice homes in nice areas. You want to avoid the cheap rundown homes. You want to avoid generally 2 bedrooms. Okay? Now, by the way, you can also send this same marketing to traditional wholesaling deals in Craigslist. Okay, so instead of, hey, would your house be available for lease purchase, you could say something like, and I'll target homes that are under $1,000 a month, and I don't care about bedrooms, but I'll target homes that are under $1,000, and I'll say, hey, you know, I'm an investor and I saw your property on Craigslist. I'm in the market right now looking for some more deals. Do you have any interest in selling your house? If you do, or you're selling your property, because many times it's apartments or multifamilies, listen, they're motivated. It's vacant. They're advertising that house on Craigslist for a reason. So if you call them up and say, hey, I want to buy your house, okay, they may call you back and say, yeah. So I did that here in Colorado Springs, and I got about 10% response rate. And if you look, my VA put it into a spreadsheet, and just looking at it roughly, about 80% of the people who called me back said, yeah, I'd be interested in making an offer. Okay? So you're going to call them up and ask them about the property. Many times they're going to want too much for it, which is fine. Then you go into the lease purchase route. But you can do the same Craigslist marketing to people for traditional wholesaling and target the cheaper homes and ask them if they want to sell. Target the expensive homes and ask them if they want to lease purchase. Does that make sense? Okay. So Craigslist is great, and I'm not talking about putting ads in Craigslist, hey, if you want to lease purchase your house, call me. Those don't work. They just don't. They look spammy. People don't believe them or trust them. The other thing is emails sometimes don't work very well either. A lot of students I've seen think, well, that's the easiest, I'll just do that. But the problem is tons of other people are doing that, okay? And sellers are very leery of getting emails saying, hey, doing something creative. You want to get them on the phone as soon as possible. Now, having said that, I have a student, I think I was talking about her Wednesday night, who has a lot of, she has 3 kids. And they're always screaming in the background, okay? And they are just very loud, and she's a stay-at-home mom, so she can't talk on the phone. So she just does email. And every day she'll go in, pick a new city in Craigslist, and send out 30 to 50 emails from different accounts, so Craigslist doesn't start blocking them, and just talks to the sellers by email. And she's doing 3 to 4 flips a month just by email. Every day she'll pick another city. I don't even know where she lives, to be honest. But she'll just pick another city, send out a bunch of emails, and just communicate with sellers by email. So it can be done. I'll find that my marketing is much more effective if it's by voice or by text message. I track the leads in Google Docs. One of the things I'll show you after the lunch is I have my procedure, my training procedure. In fact, let me just show you right now. My procedure for my training is in Google Docs. So what I have here is I helped a student with this, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but I created a video of me walking through this document for my VA. So I first wrote this entire document in Google Docs, It's bullet points. Here's my purpose, the main cities I'm doing the marketing in, tracking all the marketing in a spreadsheet. So I wrote all this down, and then I recorded myself on video walking through it. And I used a free program called Screener.com, or there's Screencast-O-Matic.com. SCREENR.com. Yes, Michael. Is it Mac only? Well, Screencast-O-Matic, maybe. I don't think they're Mac. I think it's browser based. It does not. You don't have to download anything. You just go to a web page, and you click "Record my screen now," and it starts recording your screen and your voice. So what I do is I write this all up, and my students have access to this. So you can take this and just give it to your VA. You'll need to tweak it a little bit, change the cities that you're marketing to. But you write this all up, and you say, all right, this is what I want you to do. Find nice homes in nice neighborhoods. My 3 main forms of marketing are voice blast, text messaging, email. Do this marketing to at least 40 homes a day, 5 days a week, no Saturdays and Sundays. And this is really important. Make sure that the voice blasts, the slide dials, and text messages only go out between the following hours. I was telling you my VA one time sent out marketing like 4 a.m. local time to sellers. Hey, this is Joe. Do you want to lease purchase your house? Oh, I got so many nasty calls, and it was bad. So I even repeated it. Very important. Don't send any marketing out at 8:30 a.m. your time. Send it out 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. Don't send any marketing to the same house or the same ad more than once every 3 weeks. So I have a spreadsheet where my VA keeps track of the phone numbers. Okay? And so as you keep track of the phone numbers, you can take out the ones you've already sent marketing to. And, the reason why that's so important is 75% of the ads in Craigslist are done by property managers and investors and realtors. Okay? And so you start taking out their numbers, you start getting better and better leads in Craigslist. You start getting the homeowners, the private investors that have only a couple deals. Does that make sense? So this is a Google Doc, and the great thing about this is I record this on video now of me walking through this, explaining. I'm just reading it and explaining it. I'm actually going into Craigslist and I'm showing her, this is what you put into Craigslist, this is what you're looking for. Here's a house that's no good. Just ignore this kind of a house. Here's a good house. Many times markets in Craigslist will have tabs for certain areas, okay? So you can say, just only look for properties in this tab, So I walk through this whole thing and I have a video. Now, when I let my VA go or she quits or whatever, I have this Google Doc and I can share it with somebody and I can unshare it. I own it. It's okay. So now I can just unshare it from her and share it with somebody else. I can say, hey, take this document, watch the videos and read it all, and let me know when you're done if you have any questions. Does that make sense? Is that cool? Google Docs, I use Google a lot, and it lets you create these really powerful things, and you can record yourself walking through it. So now you've got this video done once of how your marketing goes. And if there's something that comes up and you need to change it later, you just go into your Google Doc, you make the change, I highlight it, and then I tell my VA, hey, I made a change. And so this is a systemizing part of the business. This is automating it and delegating it, okay? This is so powerful. So in this document, I'll go in and I'll say, these are the main cities I want you to target. I want you to track all the marketing in a spreadsheet, and I give her the spreadsheet that I have in my course that says, it tracks in there, it shows you the duplicates. So when you put in a new phone number, it'll automatically pop up, say, hey, this number you've called before. All right, so she takes those out. So she keeps track of the link to the ads. So sometimes when I get a call, I can go to the spreadsheet and I can look up the phone number and I can see the link to that ad, and I can click on the link and see the house that the seller's calling me about. Okay? So then I go through and I say, all right, now you need to go in. I tell her on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, look at the for rent section. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, go to the for sale by owner section in Craigslist. Okay? And I'm even giving her a list of words to put into the search box. This is really powerful because in Craigslist, you can put negative keywords in Craigslist and says, give me all of the houses that do not have the words realtor, realty, apartment, apartments, management, townhouse, condo, etc. Okay? So it's not going to take out all of the houses listed by realtors, but it will take out any ad that has the word realtor in it. Some cities, they require realtors to put in their MLS ID number. So maybe you could say, exclude all the ads that have MLS number. Okay? And then I say, look for minimum rents of 1,000, no maximum, minimum bedrooms 3. And then I tell her, ignore any ads that have the following. And I'll say townhouse or townhomes, duplexes, mobile homes. Avoid ads that are fancy HTML ads. Avoid ads posted by realtors. Okay. Then I tell her, go to the for sale by owner section. And I don't do any keywords for that. Homes over 100,000, 3+ bedrooms. And I also give her some additional for sale by owner websites to go to on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, you may be thinking, oh, that's really anal. You're going into so much detail. But you've got to list it step by step exactly what you want, so your VA, when they're looking at this, they know, okay, this is what I got to do. There's no ambiguity about it. They know they got to go to for sale by owner, FSBO.com, homes by owner, and owners.com. And I also told her, look for others and put them on here. And then I say, these are the 3 steps of marketing that I want to do. I give them instructions on how to do voice blasting or slide dial in there. Text messaging, I had another little video in here about how I want to do my text messaging. The cool thing about Google Voice is you can copy and paste 5 phone numbers at a time and paste them into the Google Voice in the to field. You can paste 5 numbers at a time and send out 5 emails all at once. Okay? So I give her my Google Voice username and password. It's in here. Use this script. Hey, I saw your house on Craigslist. Is it available for rent-to-own lease purchase? If it is, call me. Thanks. Chuck. Phone number. Okay? Email instructions. This is really powerful. Email is important. But I created 5 different Gmail accounts. So every day I want her to go in and log in to a new Gmail account and send emails. But my emails are very, very simple. Would you consider a rent-to-own or lease purchase? Regards, Chuck, phone number. No website, no link. It sounds like it's personal, coming from an individual, not spammy. So I give her 5 different email scripts that are all different. So she's sending 5 different emails from 5 different Gmail accounts. It makes it a lot easier to get through the Craigslist people. Okay? So that's it. It's about 4 pages long. I can go over here. I don't know if it's hard to see. My screen is... I go right here to share. I click share. And I can make it private. I can make me the owner. I can make somebody else. Just give them view privileges. Or I can give them edit privileges so they can actually edit it. And so this isn't my VA. It's a student. But if I wanted to, I could just go in and I can click this little X and it'll remove their access to that document. And then I can go right down here and share it to somebody else. Okay? This is amazing. You couldn't do that 3-5 years ago. You'd have to send them a Word document, right? You email them a Word document with everything in there and then hope that they don't... You're always never trying to figure out who has the latest version and who, you know. All right. We're going to break here in just a second. I want to see something here. All right. We have a lot more to cover. What we're going to do after lunch is talk more about what my marketing says when I send it out, what to say to sellers, and I'm also going to talk about how I find my VAs and how I train them. Okay? So just a minute. I do want to give you guys an opportunity again. I just want to talk for just 5 minutes about my course. Okay? You can stop the video if you want. I'm just going to talk about my course and what's involved. I created this system on wholesaling lease options. It's my pride and joy. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. And I have a system that teaches you how to do all this stuff, but I came here last Wednesday and I have the results to prove that it actually works. And this marketing is really awesome. I was at Starbucks last Wednesday. down by I forget the interstate. Is it 25? And I just wanted to prove that I was here doing this from a Starbucks. So this is my iPhone with the GPS, you know, and there's 25 and there's North Academy Boulevard. So I was right there, okay? And I went out and did a bunch of marketing, and I've not updated these numbers yet. I have, the numbers are actually better. And I'll show you these numbers. When we call sellers live, one of you have a seller already that we're going to call, but we're going to call some of these sellers back and you can listen in. So I went out from Craigslist with my VA's help, and I found 492 ads in the Colorado Springs area that met my criteria, okay? 345 of them were wholesale lease option deals. These were nicer homes, you know, 3+ bedrooms over a certain rent. And I found 147 that were like under $1,000. They could be apartments, duplexes, doesn't matter. So 2 hours later, 70 people called me back approximately, and that's up to about 90 now. They called me back and left a message. My marketing said, if you're interested in a lease purchase, or if you want to sell your house, I'll make an offer. Call me back. It wasn't like, is your house still available? Call me back. Okay? It was very specific. So 70 people called me back. I had 70 warm seller leads. That's an incredible 14% response rate. 2 hours after it. It's up to about 17, 18, 20% now. Okay, I just haven't looked at the numbers again. What if just 2 of those turned into a deal? That's $10,000, $15,000. If I wanted to work those leads myself, I could. And I could make $10,000 to $15,000. Okay? But I'm going to be giving them away to anybody who invests in the system. It took me about 30 minutes of my time from that Starbucks. I love doing this. Whenever I go speak publicly, I always do this, and I give away these leads. It's awesome. So I've created this wholesaling lease option system, and included is a map that explains my entire process that I do. It's called a mind map. I have video tutorials of you actually looking over my shoulder and walking from a deal, through a deal from beginning to end. I explain the different ways to do paperwork. It's very easy. I have a toolbox where you can see all of my contracts, all of my tools and resources in one easy place to find. And we have scripts. Real simple. My scripts are questions. It's just a list of questions that you ask sellers and you ask tenant buyers so you know what to say when they call. And checklist leads to checks. I'm big on checklist. My checklist is my Bible when it comes to business, because I want to make sure that everything is done, and there's no way I can track everything is done unless they have a way to check it off.